Hello again. So, part 3 of fixing this car. So far I've spoke about what happened in part 1, and in part 2 I showed the damage and what I can do to hopefully fix it. So this is part 3, and I have an idea as to what I'm going to do now. So the idea is that because the engine block is made from the material alusil, which I explained in my previous video, I did some research and found that yes, the cylinder can be honed up, so to say, bored out and sleeved, but I don't really want to do that because it means I have to remove the engine from the car, and I don't have the time to do that. So the idea is that now that I have the tools, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the oil, remove the sump pan, and then remove the upper sump pan. There's two parts, because the lower sump pan is quite shallow and it has to go over the subframe. And then once I've removed the lower part, that will give me access to the cover which covers the crankshaft. At least I think there's one there. From the pictures that I've seen so far, I think that there is one there, but then again, there's trying to find pictures on the internet for this engine is quite difficult. Yeah, I think there is this cover under the crank to hold the oil in place, to so the big end bearings, they get lubricated. And I think I may have to remove the oil pump. I'm not sure, but again, I've never been inside the underneath this engine before, so we'll see when the time comes. So yeah, I'll drop the bottom end, remove the bolts to the piston, knock the piston out from the bottom up out the top, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the honing process. Now the honing process for an alusil engine isn't like a normal iron block engine. It works a whole lot differently actually. So basically what I have to do is I'm going to very, very gently hone it. You're not supposed to use a honing tool at all, but I'm going to hone it very gently with 220 grit stones, and then once I've done this, I will cover the stones with some microfiber cloth, and I will use some valve grinding paste, which I have somewhere. Oh, I'll put it in this box of parts. Some very fine valve grinding paste which has got silicon carbide in it, and then I will use this to basically lap the cylinder. And then once I've done this, obviously I'll check it to make sure it's right, and then once it's done, I will just put it back together, put the new piston in. I'll put the new rings on the piston so the piston's ready to go in. So I'll just knock that in, bolt it up, put it all together underneath, make sure it turns over properly, and yeah, it's not going to catch on any of the scoring in the cylinder. And then once I've done that, I will then just basically put the head on, put it all together, fill it with clean oil, or try and clean what I have, because yeah, like I say, oil is expensive, here. So I'll try and clean what I have. I've got some spare oil too, so yeah, put the oil back in and yeah, put it all together and stick the cam belt on. Hopefully it will run essentially. Yeah, obviously when the bottom end comes off, I'll do a lot of cleaning, making sure that there is no metal fragments anywhere, because I cannot afford for it to block up any oil galleries, you know, naturally. So yeah, I will get onto that at the weekend, and hopefully it goes well. Okay, so just a quick overview of the stuff that I've got so far. So this is the valve grinding paste that I will use to do the lapping once I've gently honed the cylinder. I'll make sure it's gentle, because I know that, you know, after doing a lot of research on the Alusil engine block, that yeah, for sure, you are not supposed to hone it. So yeah, this is the grinding paste that I will use to basically lap the cylinder bore and make it nice and clean. Obviously you can see here the new head, which I bought from eBay. Of course, everything comes from eBay in my life. It's very, very clean. I think it's been chemically cleaned, but then again it's got oil all over it, so I don't know, but it's very clean. And the engine that this came from has done I think 70 or 80,000 miles, and it is absolutely, you know, it's wonderfully clean. Yeah, I mean, this is the cam timing adjuster, which sits in between this chain here. The cams are off at the minute because it's ready for putting on. I can get the head bolts in, and with the tool, because the tool won't reach when the oh geez, I forget what these are. When the cam, these things, I forget, I can't believe I've forgotten what they are, but yeah, they don't reach when these are in place. So yep, there's that. I have my new head gasket, this one. If you ever have to do a head gasket on the A8, 4.2 BFM A8, this also fits the A6 engine as well, the 4.2 A6 engine. Naturally it's in German, so only Germans can read it, because I can't. But anyway, it fits, I know for sure. The piston rings are on in the piston already, and they're in their rightful positions, or 120 degrees apart from each other, or turned from each other. Piston's very clean, but again, I'm not so happy about the fact that it's being cleaned, because these pistons, they are supposed to, they are specifically designed for Alusil blocks, and you aren't really supposed to clean them. So any sort of scratching or damage to the piston from the cleaning process, which this has been wire wheeled, as you can quite clearly see, it can, you know, cause issues with the bore, which obviously we don't want. Yep, there's the head. There's some tools. These are the tools that I ordered to get the big end off of the piston. It uses an E12. It's the only socket I actually need, but this was only €5, and it's chrome vanadium, and it's pretty tough looking stuff. So yeah, it was literally €5 and came with the adapter, which was quite a nice thing. Head bolts. The head bolts, you get 10 in a box. This came with the head gasket, and they are the star head bolts. And there's 2 sets of threads, one at the top, one on just underneath. A little bit of space. I have my Dr. Micrometer adjustable torque wrench. Dr. Micrometer. I paid €20 for this. I have no idea if it's gonna work, since it's called Dr. Micrometer and not Snap-on. I don't know. It should work. I hope. 28 to 210 Newton meter, 1/2 inch. So yeah. It should do the job, I hope. And the honing tool, which is actually a whole lot bigger than I expected it to be, but then again, yeah. The 220 grit blocks, the stone blocks. You're supposed to use ceramic blocks with alucil engines if you have to hone them, which you shouldn't have to. But if needed, you're supposed to use ceramic, but these are not ceramic, so this is why I have to be very, very careful. And I use the lightest, because this is an adjustable tension. So yeah, I'll use the lightest setting, lightest possible. Just give it a very brief and quick hone and make sure it's nice and clean. And then I will wrap these stones with microfiber cloth, and then I will cover the cylinder with the grinding paste, and then I will just basically polish the cylinder bore, make sure it's nice and clean. Yes, some of the damage to the cylinder will still be there and present, but it will not be as, you know, bad as it is currently, because it is pretty bad. So yeah, that's currently all the tools that I have so far and all of the bits. It is ready to. Oh, the other thing is that the big end of this piston does not have bearings in it, so I will have to use my old ones or get new ones. I haven't ordered any new ones, so the ones that are in the piston currently will have to come out and be replaced and put in here. So yes, that's about it for the parts. I'll get this sorted out hopefully at the weekend, and get it all done. So I have cleaned the cylinders, and to be honest, this scratch that we looked at not so long ago in part 1, after I cleaned it up, it doesn't actually look so bad. I will still give it a clean though, because you can see, you know, it's all very pitted up at especially up at the top here. It's been rounded on this top corner, so I don't think the gasket will last too long, but it should do the job. But the rest of the cylinder is actually okay, but it's just mostly this half here that's had the worst of it, which I would, you know, I would guess is, you know, reasonable, considering it was the right exhaust valve that dropped, I still don't know why. Half of the exhaust valve had snapped off. So yeah, but yeah, it doesn't look so bad at the moment. So hopefully I'll be able to clean that up and get the new piston in. So here's the rest of my kit. I've taken the oil pump out, so here I had to, hold on, so I had to drop the oil obviously and then remove the lower sump here, which I'll have to seal back on because it's a sealed thing, doesn't have a gasket, so I have to get some sealant for that. And then once I've done all of that, I removed the chain tensioner, which is on the side here. You can use this Allen key. What is it? Let's have a look. I think it's a 5. Yeah, it's a 5mm to get at the Allen keys, the Allen bolts. Sorry, they're a little bit tight. You can't really get a ratchet in there. But once you've undone the bottom 2 and loosened the top one, got the 3 bolts out, yeah, it should just kind of fall. It will twist around, and yeah, there's enough length on the chain for you to be able to just lift it out, basically. The tensioner is spring loaded. It's here. The tensioner is spring loaded. When it flicks around, it will push the spring out completely. The spring will come out along with the little piston that's inside. So let's have a look at what we've got. So underneath this, underneath here, so I can see pistons 1 and 4, but the problem is that the piston I need to get to is at the back of the engine. So to do that, I'm going to have to remove this piece, which is the upper oil pan. So I have to undo that one, all those bolts there, blah blah blah, all the way around, and all those up there. And I don't know if I'll be able to do it because all of this subframe is in the way. Naturally up there as well, and all the rest. So I hope I can get this done. Hey. So we'll give it a go. Alright, so I've managed to get the piston out, thank goodness. I genuinely didn't think I'd be able to get it out, but it's well and truly out. So yeah, we managed to get it out, but yeah, it was a little bit difficult because under here, as I removed the upper sump pan, I had to also remove at the same time the splash plate on the crank, because the upper oil pan was getting trapped on it, and so I had to wiggle it around and get it into a good position so I could get to the 4 bolts that were holding up the splash plate. So I managed to get that out anyway, but the splash plate, the oil pan won't come out fully because the subframe is in the way. So I'll have to deal with what room I have there, which is what you can see. Obviously there's a bit here on through the middle, obviously. There's space at the back as well because it's pulled forward. So, but yeah, other than that, that's around about it. So that only took maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get that off, and then obviously a couple of minutes to get the piston out. So I'll show you the piston. Oh. So you can see it properly. So yeah, bit of scoring on the back there. You can see this circular patch, and yeah, it's well and truly destroyed. A chunk missing out of the corner there, and this compression ring at the top here, it's completely closed and it's seized in. It will not move. The lower, or the one in the middle, that is stuck on one corner, and the oil ring, that was sort of stuck but is now okay. So yeah, but it's well and truly dead. So I'm going to start the honing process. Just a nice gentle hone, and then I'm going to polish it up. Okay, so I've done the first run, which was basically I just got the stones and I filled them with oil, and then just went around it a few times very slowly. It's very nice and smooth now, so that's a bonus. So all I'm going to do now is clean it out and then put this York grinding paste in there, and then I'm going to wrap the stones with a very soft cloth, and then just basically polish until it's nice and smooth, like this one. And then yeah, job done. And put the new piston in. Okay, so the piston is in. We're looking good. It's nice and polished, nice and smooth. We're ready to get the head back on now. Just got to torque a few bits up and then we'll be on our way. Alright, so I've got the new piston in, I've got the head on, and yeah, bottom end is generally done. It turns over now. I've turned it over twice, so that's a bonus. We know that it's working. I just got to get it all together now, and hopefully we'll have a working car. So this is the end of this part, and the next part will be putting it to the test